Hello, my name is Bryan Tobin, and if you're watching this, this is my radio to TV demo reel. I was asked to do one of these things because sometimes your resume really can't show your drive to succeed, your passion, or your charisma. It's just not going to do it. It just shows your work experience, it shows your past employment, and a few references. And I don't know really how to treat this. I will go into that. I will talk about my work experience and my education. But I guess what I really want to talk to here is something that you're not going to see on a piece of paper, which is what I've been up to, why I would be a good hire at your company, and just what I could bring to the table. So I will get into that later, but let's start by saying, geez, Bryan, you're wearing a Newfoundland sweater, yet there's no accent. Let me tell you something, buddy. There is an accent, and I can whip it out if I want to. But now don't get me right mad, because yes by, no by, I will tell you off. Now see, this is the accent, and it will only come out if you drives me a little bit mad. But I try not to do that, because I've been living in the mainland for the last 4 or 5 years, and they don't understand my tone of language. They don't understand what he at by. So I try to keep it a little bit more simple, if possible. So let's get into it a little bit. Just fix my hair here because it looks actually not that bad today. You might ask yourself, well, Bryan, if you're making a video to TV demo reel, don't you think you should wear a shirt and tie and dress up and maybe not talk so fast because now I'm starting to see the Newfoundlander in you? All right, I'll correct. But I believe you want to see someone when they're most comfortable, when they're themselves. And honestly, this is, where I'm most comfortable, wearing a baggy sweater and jeans. It's what I do my podcast with. It's what I usually walk around the city with. So it's where I'm most comfortable. But that's not to say that I can't dress up, because let me tell you something. You put a nice shirt and tie on me and dress me up right nice, and I'm a solid 4.5. Give or take. So let's go with the background. Let's start there. I went to Carleton University. I did a Bachelor of Arts degree in communications. Now, I started off at Memorial at MUN because that's where I was born and raised in Newfoundland, and they were just starting their communications program. And I thought, great, I don't have to move. What I want to do is right here. But after year 2, they were like, you can go do electives. I don't know. It was just something in me that said, I don't think that's how this should work. And credit to them, listen, you're just starting off a program. It's going to get better over time. But I wanted to go to a place where it was established, where they were well known for what they were offering. So I kind of thought of going to University of King's College, Dalhousie, but I ended up going to Carleton because their communications program and their journalism program was, top notch. And I enjoyed my time in Ottawa. I really learned a lot about communication in the program. And we did more than just, how do you communicate with people? Because that's what people think it is. It's jobs in PR. It's jobs in media. Jobs in journalism. You learn about, women in media, sports media, gender equality in media. And I think that's all stuff that you can bring forward. Once I graduated from there, I kind of got lucky. I landed a summertime gig at Secor, doing communication specialist work, and I thought, okay, I can do this. This is what my career is going to be. But I still love sports, and I still wanted to be in the media field. I just had a drive for sports journalism at the time. So I went to Loyalist College, which was a 1-year post-grad program. And at that time, we got to cover the Belleville Bulls. We got to cover the Loyalist Lancers, which is their OCAA teams. And I got to be the play-by-play for women's basketball. Now, if you told me that after Carleton that I was going to be a play-by-play for women's basketball, I would have kind of laughed at you. But then after doing the communications degree, learning about women in the media and, women in general when it comes to how they get covered in terms of sports, I thought, yeah, I can give this a shot, and maybe I can give a positive spin on it and learn from it. Because it was a learning curve. I used to call the men's games, I would say, this is men's basketball. Then I used to call it girls basketball, but I generally started to learn that no, these are women that are playing sports. So it kind of gave me a learning curve, and I really enjoyed doing it. I ended up doing that for the whole year, and it just I thrived. I loved the energy of the crowd. I loved having a microphone in front of me. Loved doing interviews. Um, so once that was done, we had our internships, and I split mine to go with CTV Ottawa and Ottawa Sun. So I got a little bit of a TV side and a little bit of the writing side. With CTV Ottawa, I got to interview Brooke Henderson. I got to do a little bit of behind the scenes stuff, but I wasn't getting used to my full potential, which is kind of hard when you're starting off in an internship, right? Like you're made to do busy work. And I'll elaborate on all this later so that it doesn't make it sound like I'm shitting or dumping on that kind of work. At Ottawa Sun, I got to cover the Ottawa Fury, and it was the first time we had, I believe, the Ottawa Champions. So I had to do profile pieces on them and transcribe interviews that I did. And again, I absolutely, at the time, hated it. It was just busy work, but I knew it was something to get your foot in the door. And then after that was done, two of my mentors said, listen, you got the sports side down, but it would be really interesting, and I think it would be really beneficial if you went to Algonquin to do the radio program. So I did the radio program, and that's when I learned about the music side of things and doing DJ work for CKDJ and Air AM, where you kind of had to make up your own scripts, make up your own talking points, implement music, and do interviews as well. So yeah, I enjoyed that, and then you usually do your internship in year 2. But I got lucky that when I went back at Christmas to Newfoundland, I landed, I think it was about a week or two at CBC in Newfoundland, and they allowed me to do streeters. So I was allowed to go down on the street of George Street. Always a fun time in Newfoundland, especially around Christmas, and interview people about, what Christmas gifts were they getting? What did they want for Christmas? What was their worst Christmas gift? And they used it on the radio program, which I thought was awesome. So I went back for year 2, and then when I did my internship in year 2, I went to Global Toronto. And Global Toronto wasn't really a good fit because I wasn't from Toronto. I didn't know the area. So I went back to Algonquin, and at the time they said, listen, you can do the exact same thing you did here in the first year and a half. And I don't know, call it a little bit being arrogant or call it just wanting to learn more. But I thought, I've done that for a year and a half now. I'll still enjoy doing the CCHL hosting for hockey. I'll always love doing that stuff. But I can do more. So I came up with the idea of a podcast called Tobin Tonight. And originally it was just going to be me and a few friends talking about sports. And my teacher wouldn't green light it. He said, I can't give you marks for that. So I said, okay. So I sat down, thought, where do I want to see myself in 10 or 12 years? What do I want people to get out of my podcast? Like, what traits can I show them? So I ended up emailing Colin Mockery, Max Curran from the Arkells, and with the East Coast connection, Jimmy and Heather Rankin, and a few other people, just to see what I could get. And they all came on for season 1 of my podcast. And again, you were learning on the fly. You were learning how to edit. You were learning how to produce. You were learning how to do your research and reach out to these PR firms to get them on. And it continued to grow. We are now in season 3, and I continue to do episodes. I update them, I think, right now every Tuesday. So I learned all these things on the fly. I learned how to edit. I learned social media. I learned how to email people, and that's stuff that I wasn't going to learn on internships. So I'm a really hands-on learner, and this is the determination and drive to succeed that you're not going to get on a resume. And you're only really going to see it if you interact with me, or give me something to do and let me prove it to you that I can do this. And it might not be necessarily the way that you thought it was going to be done, but I'm going to be creative enough to try to find a way to have it done and make it something that people are going to want to listen to or see. So that's kind of what I'm continuously doing now, because I've applied for jobs with Bell, with Rogers, with independent networks, and it always comes back that you're not the fit. So you kind of have to prove to them in some light that you are the fit. Like, give me a chance to see what I can do. So that's the only way I was keeping relative in the media, and I still want to try to maybe there's a little bit of an anti-establishment side to myself, or a little bit of drive to be the renegade, to show that, listen, you didn't hire me now, but in 5 or 6 years, you're going to want to hire me because I'm going to have that much more behind me. I'm going to be that much more well versed. And I'm not saying I'm going to be an expert, but I'm going to be that much farther ahead than what I was 5 or 6 years ago. And to be honest, it can be a little bit deflating at times to get emails that say you're not the fit, and you're looking at the job and thinking I would be a perfect fit for this if someone gave me a chance. So that kind of brings it full circle as to my education, a little bit of my work experience, and what I've been doing now. Um, I guess the other things that I'll mention here that's very important that kind of gets lost in my cover letter, and this is why another reason that I'm going to do the video aspect, is I am a person with a disability. I know it's hard to see, almost as hard to see as a Newfoundland accent, but I did break that out for you. Um, I'll try my best to explain it. It's Sturge-Weber syndrome, and if you don't know that, it's kind of a branch off of epilepsy. Now, when I say that, I know that sounds like a really kind of scary or big word that you're kind of like, oh my God, what do we do with that? And I'm going to explain that the best that I can, because again, I'm learning as we go as well with this stuff. I used to have seizures and mini strokes when I was smaller. Right now they're called sensory migraines, and what that is I lose feeling on my right side, my right leg. That's not my leg, that's my arm. But yeah, I lose feeling on my right arm and my right leg. And it lasts maybe 20 or 25 minutes. And simply all you have to do, I'm aware the whole time that's happening. I'm actually aware when it's about to happen, so I can give you a heads up. It's just sitting down in a quiet room, maybe giving myself a little bit of space, and, letting it pass. And if it doesn't pass, then it's just a matter of, calling someone to pick me up, and that's it. Like, it usually don't, to be honest. It's about 20-25 minutes and it passes, everything's fine. So that's one of the reasons that I kind of want to do this video too, to explain that a bit further, because I think the cover letter can sometimes make it a little bit worse than what it sounds. In terms of, okay, well, if you did hire me, what can you do to accommodate me? I know some people will say that they need a special desk or, special computer software. I really don't need any of that. I think, in fairness, with anyone that's a new hire, especially in my case, it's just the best way I can describe it is, constant feedback. Let me know how I'm doing. If I'm doing something wrong, let me know so I can correct it, so I'm not always anxious or full of anxiety of, thinking that I'm doing something that's going to get me fired. Because honestly, anyone that's young, I'm 27, you want to make a good impression. And if you feel like you're not making that good impression, sometimes it can be a little bit scary. So, maybe, bi-weekly or every week, just having maybe a 15-20 minute little discussion to let me know, hey, this is what you're doing, this is what's really good, here's where we need improvement. And sometimes it could just be social interaction with other workers, in terms of where I'm a Newfoundlander, I'm very comfortable with people, sometimes a little bit overly comfortable, and it can rub people maybe a little bit the wrong way. So sometimes it's nice to know, hey, you said this thing and they didn't really take it that way, just so I know in the future. So that can sometimes be a big help in terms of, just making sure things are on par. Because I know with some people, they kind of worry, like, listen, I didn't see the disability. I don't see it. I think sometimes you're just saying stuff, and I don't know how to handle that. And in fairness, that's kind of what the disability thing kind of alludes to. It's not the full thing, but as long as you get feedback of letting listen, this is what's really good, this is what's really bad, can you improve upon it? I'm always open to suggestions for improvement and to try to better yourself, because that's how you're going to get ahead, by learning more skills and learning a better way to just, I guess, be a better person overall. So that's just basically the disability in a nutshell, and probably pretty bluntly, that is the disability. There's nothing there to see besides that. So I just wanted to explain that a little bit further. Any closing remarks I kind of have about this, because I know, like I said, I'm treating this as if it's an interview that I couldn't go to. So any closing remarks I have is, listen, I'm a person that's very determined to succeed. If you hired me at 24, obviously, it could be a lot different. I think I've learned through my past internships and through doing my own podcast that you don't take things for granted. If someone gives you an opportunity, seek it, try to do the best you can. You can always stand your own ground, but try to not bump heads with people. Try to meet a middle ground. Try to see things from their perspective and from your perspective, and see if you can't find um, a little thing in the middle. And honestly, I'm learning that through emailing PR reps. And if I see, for example, Michelle Obama is too busy for your interview, but yet you see her on CBC's Q, and you kind of look at that and say, well, geez, she was too busy for my interview. It kind of takes a toll on you, but then you kind of got to understand that it's a numbers game. And honestly, I don't have the biggest numbers. I don't have the biggest followers. And that's something that it kind of drives me to succeed, to prove to people that, listen, it's going to take time, but I believe content is worth more than numbers. And generally, over time, it will happen. And I hope it does. I do have a real drive for media. I do really want to work with a company and show them that I can succeed. I don't want to come across to be too full of myself here, but I do see myself one day being a late night talk show host and being very successful at it because I'm a Newfoundlander. I like to be a storyteller. I don't have a problem in front of a camera. I am a little bit of a jokester. I love comedy. I love doing a bit of stand-up every now and again when the fear doesn't, take over me, per se. And I like showing a little bit of a character. I like to throw my voice at times. I think I'd be really good in a media platform because I have the ability and eagerness to learn these new things, not only to better the company, but to better myself, to try to expand this stuff. I think I'm always willing to learn. I think I have a passion to succeed, and that's been eating and eating away at me since I was probably 16. And I've watched Conan O'Brien. Conan O'Brien is like my idol. So I'd love to have his job one day, love to do that stuff because it seems like a little bit of a perfect fit for someone that likes comedy, but also likes to do interviews, a little bit of a serious side, a little bit of a funny side. And I believe that we can use that in Canada to our advantage because that's the kind of people we are. And I believe a company like, a Bell or a Rogers or a Chorus or any company, if they're willing to take a shot at you and say, here, kid, or here, this is what we're going to get you to do, but, do this great and you'll excel up this ladder. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for a shot to prove myself, whether it be, writing or editing or hosting, which is a big thing that I love to do. So I guess that's kind of where I want to finish it off, is on a resume, you're going to see my background. You're going to see on my cover letter a little bit about the disability. And I just wanted to explain that full circle about all that. But I just wanted to also show you that on a resume, you're not going to see how a person interacts, especially in a radio and TV, when you should have something along the lines of showing people your radio side, your TV side, your personality, because that's what people are drawn to. It's your personality. And that's kind of why I made this video, to show people your personality. So, again, I can always send you along sample work, but if you want to see what I'm most proud of, I'm sure you can find stuff on YouTube if you just look up Bryan Tobin, CBC Streeter, or Bryan Tobin demo reel. It's always there, or on my SoundCloud. But if you want to see what I really like to do and stuff that I do all by myself, and I'm not trying to brag about that, it's just showing you all the skills that I have, go to www.tobintonight.com and check out any one of those interviews in season 1, 2, or 3. Mind you, if you watch the very first one in season 1 and the very latest one in season 3, you might see a growth, and I hope you do, because if I sound the same as in season 1 to season 3, oh boy, that's going to be a real downer on this whole video now, isn't it? So in summary, like I said, I would really like it if you hired me to help me find a job. It's my passion to get in media and, succeed. I'm very loyal to whoever gives me a job because I know dealing with a person with a disability like myself, it's very hard to find work, especially in the media. And it's probably going to be hard and continue to be hard to find work. But I like to think 5 or 6 years down the road, if I'm somewhat, big or somewhat made it, I'd like to be able to go to schools, go to kids that are learning about media or studying media and say, listen, I did it. You can do it. It's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take, sending out a lot of emails and getting a lot of rejections. But if you get the right person and they just look at you and like you and give you a fair chance, like a solid, fair chance to succeed, then anything is possible. Just the last words here. I know I probably said that twice now, but it's media is different than any other job because you're competing with people all over, and it's always going to be changing. I mean, Conan O'Brien isn't a media expert; he's a history major. David Letterman, I don't even think had an A average. I think he was a C average in school. Wendy Mesley, I believe she was 2 credits shy from graduating. Peter Mansbridge, again, discovered at an airport. So this is the kind of stuff that you're kind of competing with. Now, I know the world has changed from that point to now. In some aspects, not all. But as long as you're willing to go out there, drive, have a determination to succeed, I think someone should give you a chance. And that's what's really frustrating with me at times is that I'm watching people that I think, how did they get their foot in the door? How did they get here? And why is it that I'm not there yet? And it gets very frustrating at times knowing that you have all this potential and you just want to get started. And that's ideally what this video, I guess, is in a way, is, I need help getting started. I'd like to start somewhere and find work and prove to you, whether it be 5 years, 10 years down the road, that, hey, I hired him when he was 27, and I hired him even as a background writer or a news writer or, someone just to call to set up guests. And now look where he's to. He's actually anchoring our program, or he's one of the top, talk shows that we have. I'm just looking for a start. And I guess that's what this video ideally is. So if you stayed and watched the whole thing, awesome. I wish I had money to give you or something in return, but I don't. The best that I can offer you is thanks for watching it, and hopefully you enjoyed my banter. Hopefully you can see a spot that maybe I'm a good fit for. Other than that, I hope you enjoy your day, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact me at 613-806-7873 or by email at tobin-22@hotmail.com. And thanks you for watching, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.